So we have not run a hard 5K in 3 years. I feel like it's time to run it. Like 3 years ago, I ran 3 5Ks in the space of like 3 months, all in the 17s, but that's been 3 years ago. So predict what we are gonna run right now in this 5K race. I have no idea. And it's gonna be POV the whole way. Right, let me just get through the start first because it was chaos. This is typical Thai Southeast Asian racing where there is no kind of corrals in a lot of the races, so everybody decides that they are the fastest person in the race, even if they're maybe like a 25-minute 5K runner. So everybody goes to the front and then the carnage begins. It's like picking your way through just madness, essentially. I nearly knocked these 2 women over, sadly. I mean, I will be honest, I was prepared to steamroll adults, children, old people. I didn't care. I mean, it's half of a joke, but essentially I was ready to just smash my way through. Even as you can see here, I was running to the side of the cones because there was just so many, and I love this, by the way, so many children that had turned up to the race. They were sitting there at like 5 a.m. ready to go, and kids just absolutely bomb it from the start and then just fade pretty badly after the first, as you can see here, like 300 meters. So I was just making sure that I was dialing into a pace that felt comfortable. Now, in this race, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk you through everything that was going on in my mind, everything I was trying to execute, everything I was trying to do for a 5K, because whether you're a 15-minute 5-kilometer runner or a 25 or a 30-minute 5-kilometer runner, I think there are similar thoughts that go through all of our heads. So if I can share my thoughts, maybe that will help other people. And I would be super interested to find out if you're perhaps a 15-minute 5-kilometer runner, do you think the same things as I do? Because, you know, there are high times and there are low times within a 5K. There's no doubt about it. So dialing in, right, we're half a kilometre in and I'm running at about 3:30 per kilometre. That felt comfortable at this point. I was running with Lawrence. Lawrence was just behind me, so we decided to basically run together, egg each other on, work together, and we did just that. Lawrence was just on my shoulder at this point. And I think the thing I was thinking right now is I didn't look at my watch. I was like, just feel comfortable, because we all get caught in this trap, whether it be like 5K, 10K, half marathon or marathon, that you tend to go too fast at the start because you feel great, and then your heart rate catches up, and then you're like, oh, it was a trap. And it is a trap. So I was trying not to fall into this trap. I was trying to think, right, what feels hard, but at the same time, what do I think that I can run the entire 5 kilometers at? And this kind of right here, 3:29 a kilometer, this felt about right. And time will tell for us all as to whether it actually was right. Because this is the cruelty of racing in Southeast Asia, I think, more so than anywhere else, is that heat. You have to add this layer on top. If anybody saw Jake Barraclough ran to Japan, he ran in Manila the other day, and he was, you know, I actually messaged him. I was like, this is so nice to see. I'm sorry that you fell apart, but I've enjoyed watching it because it gives everybody an appreciation of what I think you have to go through when you're in Southeast Asia. So the temperature was high 20s. I think it was about 28, 29, but it was 90% humidity. So the real feel is definitely over 30. And this is the key. Even if you take your foot off the gas a little bit, like I've just done here, you can see it's not much, but I've taken my foot off the gas from a 329, 328 to a 332. There's no cooling down. That doesn't happen. If you're running in a sauna, you're running in a sauna. Like, there's an argument, to be fair, I think, that when you actually stop running in this heat, you get hotter because you don't get any of that wind that causes the evaporation to help you cool down from the sweat. It's just pure suffering. So I hit that first kilometre, 3:31, I think it was, 3:32, and I was like, Lawrence and I, we both agreed, here he's just overtaken me, he's just come onto my shoulder and gone into the lead for a little bit. We both agreed that that's about right. we feel pretty comfortable at this pace. Let's just try and maintain. Like, this dude in front of us was just, wherever we were going, if we were speeding up, he was trying to speed up with us. And it's, you know, some people put in surge. Like, look at that surge he's put in there. Like, some people put in surges, and we were trying to run nice and even, so it does throw you off a little bit. And he held with us for a little while, but you will see, not long. So we're maintaining that 331. My heart rate, just to give you some context about heart rate data, my lactate threshold in a cooler climate or a lab is about 175, and my lactate threshold outdoors is more like, especially outdoors here, sorry, is more like 178 to 180. It's in that region. I mean, it's a window, we all know that, it's not a line, it's a window, but it's around high 170s. So you can see I'm creeping up to lactate threshold already. And then, as it happens, we kind of find this nice rhythm. This bit, though, is a hill. So I think I said to Lawrence, I'm like, hill, and we both just committed to just grinding our way up it. And when I say hill, a bump. It's not a hill. Like, this is a predominantly flat course. I think the overall elevation over the 5 kilometers was like 20 meters or something like that. It really wasn't that bad, but as you will all know, when you feel on your limit anyway, any kind of bump outside of flat feels like it's climbing, you know, you're climbing Mount Everest. So we were grinding up this hill. You can see that my heart rate's going up, the pace is coming down, and I remember thinking at this point, like, so to me the second and third K are probably the third K is the worst. This woman had a dog, by the way, on the course, and she wasn't running to the side, so we thought we were going to get tripped up, but we got lucky. She moved over just at the last second. Obviously I don't mind dogs on the course, I've got dogs, but run to the left. So we were pushing along, thinking, right, this is about right. My thought process was like, don't look at your watch in terms of your heart rate, don't look at your watch in terms of your pace, just try to dial, like, what feels manageable for the next 3 to 4 kilometers. You have to accept these distances, 5 kilometers and arguably even 10, they hurt. So this is not about like, oh, I can't be running in pain. It's what pain is manageable for 5 kilometers, essentially. Like, I do start wheezing pretty badly later on in this race, and you know, that is what it is. That's gonna happen. Like, it does sound like I'm a 90-year-old smoking asthmatic, but you know, ultimately I suppose that shows that I was working hard. But at this point, I think I've just gone through 2 kilometers, probably hit another, I think it was about 3:35. That's fine. It was just clicking up on my watch, and I wasn't really thinking anything of it, because ultimately what I was trying to do was just like, okay, 3rd kilometer is the depths of it. It's not near enough the end where you're like, all right, I can make this, I can hold on, and it's not near enough the start that the pain is still catching up and the heart rate's catching up. Like, this is the dirty, grindy bit in the middle where you're like, oh man, this is why am I doing? Like, I've just paid money to do this race. I paid to do this to myself. I always have to remind myself that. Like, no one's put a gun to my head and said, go and run a 5K at your maximum. Like, I've decided to do this. So it's just very much about finding the sweet spot in there of like, what feels comfortable, what feels manageable, what feels like you're not going to explode completely, and do I think I'm going to be able to kind of maintain this as long as, you know, nothing terrible happens like a stitch? Because I remember thinking around this point, oh, do you know what? Like, when you're on your limit, stitch can be a thing, and I could feel, let's just call them grumblings in my stomach of like, oh, it's tightening up, maybe this is going to start to become painful. Luckily, it never came to anything, but I suppose these are all the things that happen when you're on your complete limit. Like, you're almost at the mercy of whatever your body wants to do to you on the day. And when I started this race, I was so dead set on at least competing near the front. I wanted to try and win it. Like, sometimes you can do that with local Thai races, but in Phuket the competition is pretty handy. I think some faster guys came over from Krabi. So I think ultimately you might see them come past me in a little bit. You know, they were in the lead. I actually still don't know where I finished, but I think I was either or oh no, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that because I don't know. But oh, there you go. That was first place, just going past me. Then second. So we're just about to go. There's third place, and we're just getting up to the turnaround point. So at this point, we're in fourth and fifth. So they were trying to hand out ribbons to us at the turnaround point, right? But I'll look back on the video. I think they were trying to film a TikTok or a video of themselves, and they just didn't see us. So Lawrence didn't get a ribbon to say that he'd gone to the halfway point. I did, but as I shouted to him, I was like, dude, we got this on camera. You're all good. So Lawrence is there's Mary. So we told Mary 2.6 kilometers, whereas in realistic terms it was actually 2.7, but my eyes are so bad I couldn't see my watch very well. So it was 2.7 kilometers when we got to the turnaround point. I shouted that to Mary so that she knew you're gonna have to, she's gonna have to dial back her effort a little bit, and that's what we were thinking at this point. We're like, this is not a clean 5k race. This is not something that we are going to get to 5 kilometers and that be the end point. There is definitely going to be quite a substantial amount on top of it. So now we've just gone through that 3 kilometers, and again 3:36, I think, something like that. It's on the screen, and we were maintaining, is the best I could say. We were talking to each other a little bit. It was like little words like push or are you okay, or we would communicate in kind of very short clip sentences, Lawrence and I, because I think we were both pretty much on our limit. Now Lawrence is an amazing runner. I'm very lucky to get to train with Lawrence and Mary as well. Like Lawrence has run 2:49 marathon in Thailand, which is phenomenal. So I'm absolutely convinced if he gets a good marathon, flat, temperate climate, he's going to be running kind of low 240s, high 230s. No doubt about that in my mind. So we're really good for pushing each other, just like John and Mikey were when we lived in Bangkok. We're all friends, and you've got to train in groups like that. You've got to train with people like that to push you to your best. So we were working really hard at this point. As I say, I think at this point we were in 4th and 5th place. And Lawrence was telling me in these short clip sentences that someone just ahead, and you'll see them in a minute, is this 13-year-old Phuket prodigy. Like, he's a 16-minute runner for 5k, and he's either 12 or 13 years old. Just think about that. What were you doing at 12 or 13? Because I can tell you what I was doing, and it wasn't running 16-minute 5Ks. It was playing football and being a boy, I guess, like in school, like just definitely not running that fast. So this kid is unbelievable, and you'll see him in a minute. So right now, we are really just trying to maintain form. We're barely talking. We know there's a hill coming, so we're just... Again, I'm not looking at pace. All I'm trying to do in a 5k is really dial into like what feels hard, but what feels like I can survive this, and maybe even push a tiny bit at the end, if I've got anything left. So pace was less important, especially out here in Thailand, as I say. Like this 3:35 pace, in my opinion, is probably equivalent to 3:30 to 3:25 over a 5k in a temperate climate. So, you're looking at probably 10 seconds per kilometre, maybe faster, without this kind of... It literally feels like you're running with a coat on you. Whenever we go outside of this country, it feels like someone's taken the coat off and we feel lighter and faster and all of that. So... yeah, when I say the humidity and the temperature bites, it really, really does. It really affects your performance. Less so over a 5k than a 10 or a half marathon or a marathon, but it still does. So you can see the 12 or 13-year-old. I don't quite know how old he is, but he's in the distance there, and like, what a run! Like, he's running, sub 3:35 a kilometre at this stage, and we've got him in our sights. And we're just thinking, well, maybe we can catch him. There's an aid station coming up at some point pretty soon, and Lawrence wanted to get a drink of water just to cool himself down. So in these temperatures, I don't tend to drink, but if I can get some ice water, I might pour it on the back of me. But there was a guy, you'll see in a minute, there was a guy who was going the other way, like was basically walking the race, got on that aid station and just blocked our kind of way to the water. So that was frustrating, but it is what it is. You have to deal with that in the race. I think it's just coming up here maybe at any point now, but at this point, obviously we're 4 kilometers in and we are suffering. But once you go through the 3 to 4 is probably the worst kilometer. It's like the most pain. There he is, there's the guy in the way, and so we couldn't get the drink. But 3 to 4 kilometers, in my opinion, is the worst kilometer in a race, a 5K, because it's where you're suffering the most, and there's still 2 to 1 kilometer left. Like, you're not near enough the end that you can kind of close your eyes, go dark, and just go for it. And so we barely spoke, but this was the point we started to reel this young lad in. Like, fair play, like, I'm blown away by how good of a runner he is, but we could feel him coming back to us, and quite quickly as well. So I mean, you can see, look, we're maintaining, we're not speeding up, and he is slowing down. So we got past him, and I'm going to admit something. It's not the best thing to admit, but I'm going to admit it for you. It's like, when you go past people in races like this, I think David Goggins calls it taking souls. But like, I said to Lawrence at the end of this race, I literally heard that lad's soul leave him, because what happened was, he tried to, when we went past him, he tried to stay with us for a little while. Oh, we just saw the 4 kilometre sign, by the way. No way that's 4. We're already at 4.5 kilometres, and that sign said 4, which like really messed with our heads. But anyway, going back to this lad, like, we went past him and he tried to stay with us. And the thing about that is, obviously, you're already really on the limit, you're slowing down a bit, and then he tried to stay with us. And there got to a point where I think, like, his body just went no, and he made this noise. He was like, ugh, and then he was just gone. Like, the footsteps faded away, and like, it wasn't acknowledged in the moment. It wasn't like spoken about in the moment with Lawrence, but I said to him at the end of the race, I was like, did you hear that kid's soul leave his body when he tried to stay with us? And he was like, what, when he made the noise of like, ugh. I was like, look, we've all been there, by the way. It was just a funny moment that we both recognised that. We've probably been there in the past as well, where we really have like tried to stay with someone who's gone past us, and it probably just put us a little bit over the limit of what we were capable of at that moment. And to hear the noise of someone when their soul left their body was
I got nothing.
Funny in retrospect. I'm going to be honest.
Just maintain, come on.
So yeah, at this point we're like, okay, well, how far more have we got? Because we are definitely on our limit, and as you can see from the map at the bottom, like, we're not climbing. That looks really steep, that hill. It's not, but it is a uphill segment where we were really like already at our limit. You can see where my heart rate is. Remember, my lactate threshold is high 170s, so I'm way over that. I'm in VO2 max area. I'm not going to be able to hold this for very long, and the pace is dropping a little bit to 3:36 now. 5k there, 5k in just sub 18. But of course, the course is 5 and long. I won't tell you how long. So I'm about 18 minutes for the 5k. I really, really wanted in the 17s, as you know from the start of this video. I was desperate for the 17s. I could run that 3 years ago, but this heat has played a factor. I have been long distance training for 3 years, but you know what? This is what my body had on the day. So I am fully on my limit now. Like, there is nothing more. Like, we are not speeding up. Lawrence said to me at this point, push on if you want to. And I was like, I got nothing, mate. I'm just going to mail it in. So I tried to carry on. Lawrence was just behind me. We were going clip for clip, but I was just giving everything. You can hear from my breathing. I was just like emptying the tank, like whatever I had left in there. So this, what I love about the science is, no matter how you run a race, whether you empty the tank, whether you save something back, everyone can always have a little sprint finish. So I always keep that in my mind, you know, that there is a little reserve that is almost psychological that you can go to. So I was absolutely gunning it at this point. I knew where I was. I knew where the finish was. Ultimately, I'm about to get round the corner, and I think I finish in third place. And in a time of 19:27 for 5.4k. Job done. Move on. Back into the Chicago Marathon training. Ultimately, we've got Sydney Marathon in 3 weeks. And here's the thing, this was just nice to do. Like, you can hold the pain for 5k, you can take that kind of pain, and you can recover pretty well. If that was a half marathon, probably would have taken me a lot longer to recover from, and I'm really proud of that. Now, Lawrence was 2 seconds behind me. Mary ran a PB, so even in this heat, even with everything going against her, the hills and the headwind, Mary ran a PB. She took 3 seconds off her PB. I'm convinced she can actually run sub 19 eventually on a good course and in good climate. But Mary ran 19:33. She won. She was the overall female winner, which is awesome to see. As always, we each got prizes. I was third overall and third in age group. Lawrence was fourth overall, fourth in age group. So I'd call that a pretty successful day. That was what was going through my mind at all of those points, as you can see. And back on with the training. This Sunday's video is back into the Chicago Marathon training series. So get subscribed, follow along, make sure you comment, and we will see you on Sunday. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this new style of video.